Welcome to the Labyrinth. My guest today is Mr. Krishnaraj Rao. He is an investigative journalist. He has fought for free speech, fundamental rights, and also consumer rights. So, Krishnaraj sir, welcome to the Labyrinth. How are you doing?
Thanks, Pratham. I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. So,
Good to
I
be
want to
here.
start by I want to start by asking, when did you begin your journey as an investigative journalist?
Okay, it's a bit like those guys who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I was born with a pen in the hand, so to speak. In the sense, my dad and mom were journalists. Dad, more of a journalist, mom, more of an activist, but both of them were journalists. And mom was the investigative part of it. Dad was rather a straightforward, intellectual kind of a guy, kind of banda who says, let's mind our business and do our work. But mom was the firebrand. She was like, we have to set the world right. This is not how things should be, and I'm not going to let it continue. So, mom was the activist spirit. And my entire childhood was watching their whole interaction, doing things for the public. Uh, Mom used to go out of her way. Sometimes I thought she was going out of her way looking for trouble. uh, visiting villages which were so you got my mom's background. She comes from Bangalore side. She's Kannada, knows a bit of Telugu, etc. But uh, mom and dad land up in Gujarat. Mom speaks Hindi broken, but manages to land up in adopt a village. You know, I mean, she really sort of that these are the things I saw growing up. These are the kind of things I saw growing up. And before I came out of college, I had already written some articles, done some investigative journalism, written some human rights type issues, big articles, huge articles, 2-3 pages of a broadsheet, that kind of thing. Done some photojournalism even without having a camera, and all that before I even came out of college in Ahmedabad. I did commerce, and it gave me a good background of a good understanding of business and the business world and economics and all these things. And after I came to Mumbai again, we did about 2-3 years. I did about 3 years or 4 years of investigative journalism, freelance articles. Then I kind of turned into a straight-laced journalist. So I was always an investigative journalist who became a sort of a Sida journalist, what I call a Sarkari Darbari journalist. And then came out of the mold again around 2007, 2008, and again got into investigative journalism. So that's basically how it is. And then got deeper and deeper
Okay.
into it. But been a YouTuber for about 5-6 years, seriously, since 2019.
Okay.
Otherwise, not a
Okay.
YouTuber. I'm a print guy.
So, you in your career as an investigative journalist, I've seen many of your content where you're talking about some of the awful things in the real estate scene of India. What inspired you to showcase the awful things about real estate scene in our country?
So I set out to make a difference. I didn't know about real estate or what it was. Okay. I set out to kind of make a difference to the common man. At first, I was an RTI activist, like in 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12, probably 13. I was an RTI activist, right to information. And I found that there was this, I found as in we all found, we had formed an entity called the RTI Union, where a lot of us came together. And we found there were these chore departments, literally places where they would hide information in order to benefit vested interests. And that was the builders. Okay, so slowly my focus came to be on builders. It just happened. There is a department in the municipal corporation, in every municipal corporation, which gives building permissions. So it's called the Building Proposals Department or the Building Permissions Department. And whenever we filed an RTI there, you found very evasive, slippery replies, and they were never wanting to disclose what's going on. So that was the first time I came face to face with this builder related issue. And uh, I met a few people who mentored me on the way, who are already elbow deep into it. So I learned a lot from them. And by 2018-19, I had come to a point where I was writing blogs focusing on consumer rights of the buyer, because I sensed, I did some research in 2016-17, including going as a buyer myself, posing myself to be a buyer and going to a builder's office. Just 1 minute.
Sure.
Sorry. Wow. So posing as a buyer and going to a builder's office. Did that uh, for some years actually, before I became more of a known face. Now I can't do that. I realized I'll be recognized. Okay, so this was pre 2019. I did that and I quickly realized that there's a kind of a scam, or there is a kind of a, for want of a better word, a mafia. It's not just a scam. It is a very organized thing going on. And I started writing about it. I started writing blogs about it.
Hello.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I started writing blogs about it at first, 2015, 16, 17, 18. I was blogging. And it's only 19 that I really sort of broke into this medium, YouTube. And that increased my
Okay.
reach.
Okay. Okay. So, what are some of the most awful things that you found out about real estate companies in India?
Uh, the primary thing that I find, if you want in order of importance, the most awful thing that I find about builder entities throughout India is this. The the way they feel that they can just take away a flat buyer's money, large amount of money, 1 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, 10 lakh, 20, 30, 50, 70, that kind of figures. They have this feeling that they can just take it away, absolutely take it away. They call it forfeit. So they say they are forfeiting your amount. And it has become, it is such a dadagiri thing to do. Take away your money, not give you anything in return. For what? For not obeying our rules. What are your rules? My rule is that when I ask you for money, you will give me money. And if you don't give me money, then I will send you a notice. I'll send you a reminder. And if nothing happens, then I'll say, okay, your money is gone. Whatever you paid me, I forfeited it. I'm not giving you a flat. I'm not giving you money. This is an awful truth. Now, I fail to see why there is such a huge conspiracy of silence. Just because these, I mean, sometimes I look at it like this. If these companies were British companies or Chinese companies and they were operating in India, there would be a huge hue and cry. Look at how the Chinese are exploiting us. Look at how the British are exploiting us. They're taking away our 1 lakh rupees, or 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20, 50, 70. They just took it away from me. There would have been a hue and cry. Look at this Chinese company, the evil Chinese company. Now you have ordinary Indian companies, well-known brands, huge brands, okay, from Mumbai, from the south, from the north, from various states and various regions, national capital region, any city you care to name, the same story is coming in, and there is a huge conspiracy of silence. Newspapers don't want to talk about it. I am stunned. I'm stunned because I have known newspaper journalists. They have known the work I do. Why do you not want to talk about it? It involves big names, well-known corporates. It is not some alu chalu roadside, some Patel builder or some, local builder. It's not that. Big names, you got Godrej and you got Lodha and you got, in the south, you got huge names. Some of them are listed companies. Public limited, publicly traded companies. How can you have a malpractice like this happening and nobody talks about it? It's an awful conspiracy of silence. So this is my number one peeve. There are other peeves. For example, systematic misselling. Systematic. They have created a structure for misselling. So what do I mean by misselling? They will tell you you're buying a watermelon. You're not buying a watermelon. You're buying a pineapple. They will guide you that it's a watermelon. The way they do it is they create a gap between what is orally represented, what is pictorially represented, what is represented to you by way of brochures, and what you actually sign on, which is the agreement. And in the agreement, they say every builder's agreement has this clause, this standard clause. Whatever you've been told by way of brochures, orally, by sales staff, or by whoever, does not count. Does not count at all. The only thing that counts is what is said in this agreement. This agreement is the whole and soul of it. But before this agreement, before you entered into this agreement, you already took away my 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs. Based on your brand name, I gave it because I thought, hey, come on, man, such a big name, Godrej, big name. So I gave it. Now I find that there is a big difference between what your guys told me versus what is actually there in reality. How can it be? And most of the times people don't even read the agreement. It is only when it hits them later on, then they say, hey, wait, what is this? You have told me this in the brochure. Oh, sir, but that is brochure. And the fine print on the brochure is, it is only for representation. Arey Baba, you made facts, you have spoken of facts, you're not just showing pretty pictures. Pictures can be representational and artistic impression. What about the facts you are naming? What about the promises you are making? You said this building will be completed, this project is going to be completed in 2025 December. And now you're saying, no, it is 2028 December. What do you mean? This is the kind of systematic misselling. So there are a number of PUs I've got, but these are absolutely top of the list. Very high-handed behavior, completely unaccountable, non-transparent. There is only one word for it, and it's cheating. White-collar crime. Okay.
Okay.
But, and shockingly, they will even go so far as to forge your signature. Nobody can forge your signature. Nobody would, in his right senses, forge your signature. Suppose you give me suppose I take a signature from you on one page, and then I copy paste it, scan it and tick, 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 on 20 pages. I populate 20 pages with your signature because you signed one page. They do that. And police doesn't take action against them. They're immune.
Isn't
That's my
there
view.
okay? Is there some kind of protection for the consumer, maybe at the consumer redressal courts or the RERA or any kind of protection?
Yeah. To answer the question, what happens is we got the judiciary. Common man is not in a position to approach the judiciary. Common man, if you tell the common man to even go and file a police complaint, he will hesitate. And police does not listen. So your nearest point of contact with the judiciary is police. If you go to the police, they'll say, sir, this is a matter between you and a builder. It's a civil matter. Police is, as a rule, very reluctant to entertain a case against a company, and builder companies even more so. Okay, any company, they will say, no sir, it is not our jurisdiction. They will not enter into that jurisdiction. It is their jurisdiction, but they won't enter into it. They don't want to do that. They don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the training, they don't have the understanding. There are a whole variety of issues here. So the police is not the place you go to when you have an issue with any company, any grievance with any company. Next, you go to civil court. Now, civil court or consumer court. It's very easy to say, I will file a case against you in consumer court. The actual process of filing a case, if you start looking for a lawyer today, you may end up finding a good lawyer after 15 days. And it is a question of luck. That good lawyer may not turn out to be a good lawyer. He may turn out to be a bad lawyer. He may turn out to be a lawyer who does a shoddy job. Whole set of issues there, lawyer related issues. By the time you go to consumer court, it is about 1.5, 2 months down, and you've already paid 60,000-70,000 rupees to the lawyer. By the time it is heard, the first hearing comes, you are 6 months down if you're lucky. Something very similar with RERA. 6, 7, 8 months later, you get one hearing. So by the time the case is concluded, it will be a miracle if it happens before 2.5 years. Absolute miracle. Probably much more, not less. Now, into this mix, you throw in the company's lawyers. The company's lawyers are experts at diversion, delay, distraction tactics. They will lie. They will outright lie. They will say lies which are, you and I would hesitate to tell lies before a court, but they will lie at the drop of a hat. They'll say, for example, one of the examples I can give you is, they'll say into a consumer court with a very straight face, big lawyers, they'll say, my lord, he's not a consumer. Hey, what do you mean he's not a consumer? No, no, he's an investor. And then they will show, see in this tick box, where we asked him, own use or investment, he's ticked investment. So he's an investor, therefore he is not a consumer. Therefore, consumer court has no jurisdiction. Now, this is complete bullshit because you have paid money. They have accepted your money. The contract is for a flat. It is not for a share, right? They could say he's an investor if you are investing in their company, if you are buying shares. You are buying their product, they are selling that product, but they will say, no, no, he's an investor. Now, many of the times, either willfully or because your lawyer doesn't argue, the judge will say, yeah, dismissed. But you will say, but Baba, there are case laws here. There are others where the same argument was made and they said, no, yes, but that was not argued before me. So you have very lame judges. The judiciary is a very lame place for a common man to be. And those guys, for them, it's a well-worn path. They know the ins and outs of that path. The lawyers of builders. They know everything there is to know about this. They know how to distract, divert, sidetrack, lie, confuse, gaslight, all those tactics. They will use each and every tactic. They will use tactics like as trivial as officially his name is Krishnaraj Rao or his name is Krishna Rao, but here he is in this form he has filled up Krishnaraj Rao with fraudulent intent. Now the judge, instead of saying nonsense to all that and let's stick to the point, he looks at you and you are like, I'm sorry, but and you are on the defensive. So very technical reasons. The booking was done by his wife, not by him. Baba, I booked in the name of my wife. This kind of things. They resort to the most Kamina tactics available. And so, to answer your question, while judiciary is in theory uh, a remedy, in theory, in practice, judiciary is a very poor remedy for the common man. The
Okay.
common man, I don't care if your flat costs 50 lakh rupees or if it costs 5 crore rupees or if it costs 25 crore rupees, you're still a common man. You know,
Hmm.
so it's judiciary is not a realistic remedy for the common man.
Okay. So then that begs the question, what is a realistic remedy for the consumer?
Okay, the first um, there's a saying, and this saying is made for people who drink alcohol and then try to stop drinking alcohol, like after becoming alcoholic. So the thing is, the way to stay dry is never to get wet, right? Like, don't start drinking and then try to get off the habit. Don't get start the habit in the first place. So something like that. The easiest way to avoid this situation is don't deal with builders. Now there is a, I mean, this sounds like an extreme kind of thing to say, but I'll explain. Don't deal with builders is not saying don't buy a house. Don't deal with builders means don't buy a house from that source. A builder is a bad and troublesome and dangerous source for you for buying something. Don't source it from your builder. So, who do you source it from? I say source it from the secondary market, resale. Buy a house in resale. Don't buy a house from a builder. So, this is along the lines of if someone is talking about share market, I'll say, listen, share market, don't buy in primary issues, don't subscribe to primary issues, buy shares from the market. That's it's something like that. Primary issues are the problem. Buy a house that's ready. And one more thing I'm saying is do not buy under construction.
Yes, yes.
Under all circumstances, do not buy under construction. Now, why is that? Because under construction is not a product. Under construction is a promise. Okay. The builder has a project. Now, what is the meaning of project? So, we don't use the word manufacturing when we talk about flats. But let me use the word manufacturing to put it in perspective. You have a product. Like a car is a product, a flat is a product. The car, he is not in the stage of putting up a factory somewhere in the country and then making a car and then selling you the car which will be delivered to you in the year 2028. That is not how you're buying a car. A car is a finished product. You will go to the showroom, you will see a product. You know that your every car is identical. If you're buying a black Merc of a certain brand, of a certain model, that is what you will get down to the last millimeter. So it's a very standardized product. Now, in the case of a flat, what happens is, oh, we are making a project. It's a project. So what is the meaning of a project? The very word project means I intend to make it. I have set about making it. I am building it. It is not ready. And there will inevitably be some changes of this and that nature, but you have to accept all that. So that's a project. So what are you buying? You're buying a promise. That guy is telling you, I'm going to sell you 852 square feet carpet in this configuration, in a 2 BHK configuration, and he will give you dimensions. Now that's just on paper. Then he is making you an investor in the project. He is saying investor for, and it is actually an investor. You are really an investor because you are not buying that product. He is in the process of making, let us say, 800 flats of this 852 square feet, this type of model. And you are saying I will buy one of them, and towards that I am going to start making payments now. As your project progresses, I will pay you more. So what is it? You are a participant in the project. Now the word they don't use is risk. If you are an investor, and if there is a project, there is always a risk. Whether you call it a risk or not, it is still a risk that it will not get completed. The project may not get completed, or the project may run into legal trouble. Why? Well, it can happen. Why? I don't know, but it happens. So there may be legal trouble. There may be all kinds of trouble. There can be union trouble, for example, if there's a trade union. There can be material shortages. There can be a COVID-19, which came along and derailed many projects by a couple of years. There can be a war. So there can be any number of uncertainties. The project, there can be a government change. The government change can set back your project. Let us say they have made a corridor in Noida and called it the fast track development area. Okay. And it is under this government. Next thing you know, Modi Sarkar is gone, Congress Sarkar comes, and the first thing they do is, no, all this is nonsense. This was done with bribery, and we want to stop all this nonsense. Okay, just 1 second. Huh? So, it can get overturned. They'll say, no, this is not all, this is not on. This was done with bribery. You did it because you got, election funds for this, and it was a quid pro quo. All this is cancelled. And for all you know, Supreme Court will step in and cancel it. You are subject to all that risk. And you are an innocent flat buyer. You don't know anything. You will say, I just trusted in the name. I saw this big name and I put my money. I thought he had it all figured out. Turns out he didn't. Now, why are you, an innocent flat buyer, who has already 30, 40, 50 lakh rupees in, or maybe even more, 1 crore, 1.5 crore, 2 crore rupees in, why are you didn't know anything, why are you to be the guy who loses money if this project is cancelled? The company will not lose money. Surely not. But you will lose money. Why? So this is the reason under construction, and this is an extreme scenario, but these versions of these extreme scenarios happening all the time.
I'm so glad that you brought this up because I personally know people in Bangalore who buy these under construction properties on loan. They take a loan, they take money from somewhere
Right.
else, they buy these under construction properties, and then the properties get delayed. So these people now owe money to the bank or someone else, and they
Now
don't
they
even
owe
have a
money to
house
the
on the
bank.
side. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Now they owe money to the bank, So it's, why are you getting into this situation in the first place? Don't do it. Now, the reason they do it, their logic is something like this. First of all, they have a mythology. I'll use the word mythology for want of a better word. They are they are so brainwashed by a propaganda which says, no, resale mein the houses are costlier, and under construction the houses are cheaper. Okay. And how much cheaper? At least 10-20% cheaper. I ask them, how can a reasonable human being even say this in the first place? Resale may they are costlier. Like, did you do any research? Are you relying on any research? No, it's just generally the word in the market. Now that is propaganda. If you go to any estate agent, he will try to guide you to a builder's project and under construction. He will take you in the direction of an under construction, even if you're set out to buy an actual ready possession flat, or if you want a resale, like you say, I want a resale, your estate agent will take you He will hold you by the hands and take you to a builder's sales office. Propaganda. There's a lot of propaganda going on. So people, there's one thing they don't count. Okay, so what is the value of the flat? It is 1.1 crore rupees. Okay, fine. What about if you bought it in resale market? Yeah, I can get it for 1.25 crore rupees. Okay, so it's 15 lakh rupees cheaper. Yes, that is an entire 10% or more. Okay, so it is more than 10% cheaper. You say, let us take it on face value. When will you get the possession? Oh, it's ready. I can go and take it. I can live in it. Good. Is that a plus point or not? Yes. On the other hand, this 1.1 crore rupees में तुमको जो मिल रहा है, which is 10% cheaper than the other one, when is that expected? Oh, it will be done by end of year 2026. So you're going to wait till end of 2026 for getting possession. Where you're comparing it with something else which you're getting right now, which is ready, जो चलती हुई चीज है. How are you comparing the two things here? You know? But no, वो क्या है ना, वो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. But अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, the second thing is not even something you can't even see. You're not even seeing it. The first one is you can see the cracks. You can see the cracks in the wall. You can see the dampness. In the north, they call it sealan dampness. Here we call it beige. You know, the moisture in the walls or leakage or seepage or any of these issues. You can see those things. You can see the cracks in the paint. अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. Boss, this one is a complete fantasy. The one you're buying. You don't know what the issues are. It may have the same leakage, seepage uh, issues. You don't know it. Why are you assuming that you're going to get a picture perfect house? It's a very poor assumption. So if you count all these things, it turns out, if you discount all these things, resale property is a better buy. Absolutely no doubt about it. Another one thing, you're buying an under construction property on loan, you will buy a resale property also on loan. Fine. Resale property actually exists. Under construction property is a promise which may or may not come into existence, and you are taking a loan for that. And you may end up paying a loan for a property which will not exist, which may never exist in future. There is a good potential, like I would estimate it at about 5-10%, that in some shape or form it will cease to come into existence in the timeline that you want. It's a big risk. No, it's okay. I believe Godrej. I believe this brand name. I believe M3M. Now, this is brainwash. The brand name makes you override your common sense. Okay, then there's the interest cost. If you factor in your interest cost and then look at the same purchase, a resale house, I'm going to pay interest on the loan. An under construction house, I'm going to pay interest on the loan. But an under construction house, I'm not getting the house to live in. A resale house, I can move into this house. So you can consider me as now I'm not having to pay rent elsewhere. If you want to count the, like if you want to put a number to it, visualize staying in that same house elsewhere on rent. That is your cost of not occupying the house for the next 3 years. If the rent is 1.5 lakh rupees, multiply that by 36 months. That is your loss. Whereas here you got a resale house, you move straight in. You're saving up that much rent. That is your gain. It is very substantial. It will run into 30, 40, 50 lakh rupees. Just like that is your gain. Why are you not counting it? Another thing, suppose you lose your job tomorrow. If you've taken an under construction property, good luck trying to sell that under construction property and stop your loan payment. If you lose your job tomorrow and you've taken a resale property, sure, you can sell the resale property. Maybe at a distress, maybe at a lower price. Doesn't matter. Just a second. Huh?
No.
You can sell it at a distress and you will be fine. You will pay back the loan. You'll be okay. You'll be back on rent. But you have an asset in hand which you can sell. You know. So there are all these plus points which are there for resale, which are not there for under construction. But it's a very tough sell in the sense public is so much in the mood of buying under construction that they are not at all keen on thinking about resale.
Okay. Okay. So slightly moving to a different picture. The national elections are coming. It seems that BJP might win again. I don't know. That's the whole
Yep.
mood right now, and even the saying is "char so par." So, do you think it is possible? Do you think they'll have another landslide victory? And if they do, what are the consequences of that victory?
Okay. So right off the bat, I'm a Librandu. I'm an urban Naxal. I am part of the Tukde Tukde gang. I'm everything. I'm part of the bunch of people whom Amit Shah considers evil and Modi considers evil. Okay. And so that's my politics. I'm not, just one second, there's a bit of, so
Yeah.
अब की बार 400 पार का रिस्पॉन्स ऐसा है. See, quite honestly, if you are talking about probabilities, I would say there is a 60-70% probability that Modi is going to come back again. Whether 400 par or not, I don't know. But there is a 60-70% probability that he will win again. Okay. I am not happy with that probability. But that's what it is. It is what it is. The way forward for the country is distinctly not the way they are going. Their saffron agenda, this whole Ram Mandir politics, this whole thing of alienating the Muslims, othering the Muslims, making them look like second class citizens, making them like demons. Sorry, boss, doesn't work. Doesn't work for me. Works for a lot of people in my country. I'm sorry to say, but it doesn't work for me. So if that happens, that Modi comes back with overwhelming majority or otherwise, but Modi comes back, Modi Sarkar comes back. Fine, we have to deal with it. We have to live with it. We have to do the best we can. I hope that doesn't happen.
Okay.
That's where I'm coming from.
So, what is your ideal scenario? What is the alternative?
What is the?
What is the alternative? So if not Modi, this is a very kind of common
Huh.
question. Modi nahi to kaun?
Correct, correct. If not Modi, then who? Modi
Yeah.
nahi to kaun? Right. So Modi nahi to Rahul Gandhi. Modi nahi to Rahul Gandhi. And despite all the this thing that the Pappu narrative, kya re Pappu, you want Pappu to be the prime minister? That's basically how it is framed. Let me put it this way: the job of a government is to govern. The job of a prime minister is to govern and administer. Now, Manmohan Singh did not project strong leader at any point of time, nor did Sonia Gandhi project very strong leadership at any point of time. She was always Congressy Buddhi and all those things. Okay. Never really projected strong leadership. She always projected, well, widow of Rajiv Gandhi rather than strong leader. Inheritor of a legacy, of a political legacy, not strong leader. Okay. Uh, I think they did a damn good job. By and large, there were issues with UPA government. No two ways about. There were all kind of issues with UPA Sarkar. But uh, and I was one of the critics of their issues. I was I was a critic of the way they did. They ran their government. That said, they were incomparably better than Modi Sarkar. You had a bunch of people who wanted to run a government, not play politics all the time. Modi never comes out of campaigning mode. 10 years he has been Pradhan Mantri. Modi never came out of campaigning mode. He has been campaigning. He is Pradhan Pracharak. He is not Pradhan Mantri. He's always been on this trip of array, and he never came out of opposition mode. Even now, in his recent speech, what is he doing? कांग्रेस ने ये किया, कांग्रेस ने वो किया. अरे भाई साहब, आप 10 साल से आप सरकार में हो यार. अब कांग्रेस ने ये किया, कांग्रेस ने वो किया. 10 years later, are you leader of the opposition or are you a ruling party? What do you mean कांग्रेस ने ये किया? आपने क्या किया वो बोलो ना. So where I am concerned, seriously, Modi is not a Modi is not the way forward. BJP is not the way forward. Now, if I'm on the wrong side of history and Modi does turn up with a thumping majority, well, I'm very sorry about it. But I'm still okay. I'm going to dig my heels in and say, boss, still he is not the way forward. And 5 years
Okay.
later, when the next election comes, I'll still say he's not the way forward. Now, again, if they want to, if the country elects Modi or by whatever EVM magic they come up with these numbers, okay, fine. They came up with these numbers. This happens. ठीक है, क्या
But
करना है?
even without even so even without the EVM or whatever, don't you think the national mood of the country right now is towards the whole Hindu nationalist NRC,
Fair
pro
enough.
NRC, pro
Fair enough.
CA? That's what
Fair enough.
the majority kind of wants. Yeah.
See, there is a difference between democracy and majoritarianism, but there are times of history. So let us assume for a moment that the elections are not rigged, that the EVMs are not rigged, that election commission is doing a good job. Let's assume all of those things. Okay. And let us assume that very organically Modi comes back or BJP comes back. Organically. Okay. Because people voted. Because people felt that, I mean, I don't like the Ram Mandir politics, but who am I to say what Janta likes? Maybe Janta likes the Ram Mandir politics. Okay. If Janta likes Ram Mandir politics and people vote him back to power, well, he'll come to power then. He'll come to power. Now, do I have to like it? No, I don't have to like it. Janta voted him, okay, Janta voted him. Fine, I didn't vote him. I don't have to like it. If he is the only prime minister, okay, he is the only prime minister. What to do? हो गया, ठीक है. I'm still going to be opposed to it.
So,
He's
what are your
it,
thoughts
I'm
on?
a liberal. I'm a liberal.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay. And as far as I don't know what your politics are, I'm not asking you to say, but I'm a liberal to my last breath. Okay. I am a liberal and I will not under any circumstances become a conservative of any kind. Okay. Good luck trying to make me say Vande Mataram. I'll say over my dead body. No. I am not a Muslim sympathizer. I would criticize an Islamic regime as much as harshly or more harshly. I am not a Muslim sympathizer. I am not like Arey nahi la ilaha illallah. No. No. I'm an atheist for that matter. I'm not a Muslim sympathizer. I say, I mean, I criticize the Muslims as harshly as I can, and I do it on record. I do it. Okay, I don't want to get your podcast into trouble. Otherwise, I would say a few harsh things about the Prophet. Have no hesitation in saying those things. I have done it on record. So I'm not a Muslim sympathizer. I'm a secular in the sense that look, if everybody has a different belief system, You have a bunch of belief systems. You believe that Om works and Ganga water is, miraculous and Ram is the savior, and someone else believes that no, it is Prophet is the savior and Allah is the only God, and Zamzam water is the miraculous water, not Ganga water. I'll say, okay, so you got bunch of people with two different belief systems. Be tolerant. You got a belief system. Ideally, people should be able to live without unfounded beliefs. Don't have beliefs that you cannot support with logic. That said, I do know that people have beliefs which they won't support with logic. That's the majority of the people. I'll say, okay, then be secular, be tolerant. They are both equally irrational. And if you don't think you are irrational, then we'll have that conversation. If you want your belief system to be respected, you respect their belief system. They respect your temples, you respect their mosques. And revivalism is not the way forward. अरे 600 साल पहले औरंगजेब ने ये किया था, अब इसलिए अब हम ये करेंगे. That is complete nonsense. As an agenda, that's complete nonsense. As a way of doing politics, as a way of running the government, it is complete nonsense. So I don't support it in the least.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, when it comes to politics, okay, I'm neither. I'm more of a libertarian. I am neither too much to the right or the left. I used to
Okay.
vote for the Congress, but in the upcoming elections, I will either not be voting, or if I accidentally step into a voting poll, it will be for Nota probably. Uh,
Nota. Okay.
okay, so it'll either be not voting or Nota. So I think a lot of people are at a point where they're so frustrated that
Hmm.
they're like, screw the elections, man. I don't want to vote. It doesn't matter which party comes to power, it'll be the same thing. And some of that is based on logic also. Some of it is based on pure logic. So what do you think about people like us, people like that?
Like Nota. What do I think about
Nota,
Nota?
or not even voting, because they're almost, they have lost all faith.
See, um, okay, here's how I'll frame the issue. Okay, because ultimately you draw conclusions based on how you frame the issues. What framework are you looking at? A certain thing. So I'm going to make an analogy between a country and a family. Suppose our nation is a family. It is not. But let us take an imaginary scenario where our nation is a family. Now, if you can opt out of the family, like go live elsewhere, now you are no longer part of the household, now you are no longer part of the family. Now you don't care what they do or don't do. Now your rule set. For example, matke mein, I'll give you a simple this thing. There are households with matkas. Now there are two or three different ways of dealing with a matka. One is you take the glass and go straight into the water and pull the water out. Another is you have a thing for putting it's called a doya. You push it in and take it out and pour the water into your glass. That's the doya. Third thing is the tap. Okay. You have issues. हमारे घर में पानी हम डायरेक्टली ऐसे ग्लास डाल के पीते हैं. समवन से ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए. नल होना चाहिए था. कोई और बोलेगा अरे नहीं ये भी नहीं होना चाहिए था. यू गेट कैंट आरओ, get a water purifier. You can say, listen, I'm so fed up with all of you people arguing about water that I don't even want to participate in the discussion. So the only thing I will say to you is, boss, are you going to be drinking? ये घर का पानी पी रहे हो या नहीं पी रहे हो, इतना बता दो. अगर पी रहे हो, you have a view. Whether you have to dip the glass into the matka or not is a view. You have to have some kind of a view, right? Or you are the kind, अरे कुछ भी चलेगा रे, ऐसा भी हो सकता है चलेगा, वैसा भी हो सकता है चलेगा, ठीक है, you can do that. I personally would say it is not a very sustainable way of doing things. And okay, there is one more, there is a philosophical thing here. I personally feel it is necessary to pick sides. You, in the end, you need to choose your side. You need to pick a side. So, for example, you asked me, okay, what if Modi 400 par? Okay, अब की बार 400 पार हो गया, but I have picked my side. It is not, I'm not going to emigrate from the country if Modi comes. No, I'll stay here. No matter what happens, I'll be here. Okay. I'm a stakeholder. I have picked my side. It could be the losing side. I picked my side. Now, to say मैं रूठ गया हूं, मैं साइड नहीं ले रहा हूं, matter of philosophy, I would say it doesn't, to me, it doesn't sound like a good philosophy. I will not choose a side. So doesn't sound philosophically a proper position to take. Now, why is that? I can argue about it, and you will also argue about it. You will tell me why Nota is, I'm justified, and I'll have another argument. But philosophically, I am not in agreement, I'm not in alignment with that. Nota.
Okay.
I do understand why the Nota idea was proposed, and I do understand that you want to send a very strong signal to all the political parties and say, boss, aisa sab mat karo yaar. I think a much stronger signal will be if you individually, like for example, you Pratham, you are going to say Nota. I would say rather than say Nota, or okay, along with saying Nota, take 3 or 4 political actions, engage with the system, and try to put Pratham's chap on it, like your opinion on it. Think about what you stand for, and then put your chap on it. Okay, then say Nota. मैंने छाप डाल दिया. I voted not through the ballot box, but I voted.
Okay.
You know.
So,
Hmm.
Nota debate. I don't want to go too much into that because I want to talk about other things also. But
Yeah.
I just want to say that some of your activities, right, the consumer activism that you've done, in a
Yeah.
way, it actually motivates me to vote for Nota or not vote at all because I feel like that kind of activism has a bigger impact on society than just going and
Hmm.
pressing the button.
Fair enough.
So I feel
Fair
like
enough.
rather than me going and voting in the elections, I would rather participate, in some other form of activism, the way you have done. I feel like that has a bigger impact on my life and the people around me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But the only one thing is, see, if Modi Sarkar comes to power now, tell me this. I mean, or rather, I mean, whether you want to disclose your position publicly or
Uh,
not, it's up to you. But suppose Modi Sarkar comes to power versus doesn't come to power. You are faced with two alternative realities, and I don't think they are exactly the same thing. It is not like vanilla ice cream or strawberry ice cream. Makes doesn't make a difference. I don't think that is the kind of choice we are faced with. We are faced with a choice between samosa and ice cream. It's different. They are very different. So Modi Sarkar is by no means the same thing as Congress Sarkar or India Sarkar, India Alliance Sarkar. Now, surely you have a choice whether to vote, whether you are saying India Alliance Sarkar will be bad, so I don't want it. Are you making that choice? I would rather go with Modi Sarkar rather than India Alliance Sarkar, or Congress Sarkar, you can call it Gandhi Parivar Sarkar, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, there is some kind of a choice you're making, right? You prefer this political, and do you like summer or winter? Well, I like summer. This, you're making some choice, right? So ask yourself, what is the direction of the choice? I would say it is that simple. I don't care you are disenchanted with A and B and X and Y. Yes, you are disenchanted with everybody. I'm unhappy about everybody, and I agree with you. I'll tell you, for example, the Congress party guys tried to recruit me into their party before 2019 elections, and the way they did it was so ham-handed, so stupid. And I myself tried to engage with Sonia Gandhi and with these people. I've tried to engage in some of their things, you know, if not directly, then indirectly. I've tried to engage with them politically and as an activist. My experience has been quite uh, disheartening. I have not been very happy with how they engage. So I am not under any illusion that Rahul Gandhi is a guy I will like close up. I might not. Okay. That said, I am going to make a preference before Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi. If it was Rahul Gandhi versus, let us say, someone else, then I might go with that someone else also. But because it is Rahul Gandhi versus Narendra Modi, I'll say then Rahul Gandhi. You
Okay.
know, that way. That way. So you say, but activism, yeah, okay. Activism also is, I mean, it's a meaningful thing, but somehow I don't think it's a, um, okay, it's like this, like you asked me a question, right? Suppose I had said no comments.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
could have said no comments instead of taking a stand, which is most likely to be unpopular. And the probability is like 70% Modi will win with whatever kind of majority. 70% probability Modi wins. 30% probability something else happens. 20% probability you have an India Alliance Sarkar, which is stable. 20%.
Okay.
Another, उसमें से भी तो there is a possibility after 1 year or 2 years Modi manages to destabilize the India Alliance Sarkar and get back to power in the year 2026. So BJP comes back to power with the support of somebody else. Any of these situations can happen. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying something which is likely to be unpopular, but my opinion is you should still, at risk of being wrong, you should do it. That's how I look at it. Like, take a stand here. Your country is asking you to take a stand, so take a stand. That way.
Okay. No, I'm glad that you're taking a stand. I'm glad that you're sharing your opinion, even though it's not popular right now. Because of the national mood is one direction, and you're going in the other direction, but you're still taking a stand. I'm glad. We may not agree on everything, but you are taking a
You
stand,
don't
and I'm
have to.
glad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, moving on. What are your thoughts on the whole electoral bond scam?
Okay. So I have not studied it too closely. So I don't have an expert opinion. But to the extent that I read about it, understood about it, heard about it, to the extent that I studied it, however casually, BJP Sarkar is clearly wrong in floating that whole thing. I wish it had been struck down earlier. I wish it had been struck down in 2018 when it was first floated, and it didn't have to linger until the eve of the next elections. यार 19 elections में ये election bonds नहीं होना चाहिए था. And the way it has been used and the nexus that it reveals for quid pro quo, for misuse of CBI and all these IT रेड किया उधर उन्होंने इलेक्शन बॉन्ड्स खरीदे यहाँ पे इलेक्शन बॉन्ड्स दे दिए and suddenly they get a clean sheet. That kind of a nexus that you can very clearly see date wise, it shows that the government doesn't have clean hands in the matter of election bonds. So Modi may say no, no, we only wanted to make it transparent. वो तो कैश देते थे पहले. Yeah, okay, कैश तो दे रहे थे, that is a fact. Election funding used to happen with cash, and election funding used to happen with Tod Pani is also correct. Now what you did is you institutionalized Tod Pani. You made Tod Pani, which was a dirty money, into you brought it up and you turned it official. It's like देख official corruption करने का official तरीका. मैं IT रेड मारता हूँ. तू जा इलेक्शन बॉन्ड खरीद ले. तेरा कंपनी लॉस में है, वो सब छोड़. तू जाके ये ले इलेक्शन बॉन्ड्स खरीद ले. मेरे पार्टी ऑफिस में डिलीवर कर. मुझे कॉल आएगा. मैं फिर IT वालों को कॉल करूंगा, बॉस स्टॉप द रेड. और ऑल्टरनेटिवली तू खरीद एंड देन यू से यहाँ पे ये चल रहा है, वी आर टेंडरिंग फॉर सम मेजर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, 2000 crore रुपी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स. ये पार्टी को मिलना चाहिए. आई विल पुट इन अ वर्ड एंड माई वर्ड इज गोल्ड. यू विल गेट इट. नाउ दैट नेक्सस that is so clear through the election bonds thing, it speaks for itself. I don't know what's this thing. But that said, is there a larger problem? And there is. And this larger problem is something I recognize for a very long time. In the sense, the election bond problem exists within a larger problem which has not been addressed at all by anybody. Politicians, career politicians. How is it that one guy declares at the start of when he is going into the previous election, he declares, let us say I have got 25 crore rupees ka assets. 5 years later, same guy will declare I have got 600 crore rupees assets. Like, what just happened in those 5 years? Yeah, you're a career politician, you're not an industrialist. तेरा 25 crore से 600 crore पे तू पहुंचा कैसे, ये बता मुझे पहले. तू पॉलिटिशियन है, तू कह रहा है तू जनता की सेवा करने निकला है. 600 crore, I mean, that kind of figures. Basically, I'm just pulling a figure out of my hat. But Abu Asim Azmi, for example, crazy figures. And this is something I noted earlier. And these guys were, I noted about Congress guys. दूसरे पार्टी के भी हैं. But Congress guys is what I was picking on. How is it that these guys, how do your net worth, I don't think Ambani's net worth increases in that proportion yet. Ambani will be 5 years later, he will be maybe 30% more rich, maybe 50%, chal 100% more rich. His wealth doubles. यहाँ पे his wealth multiplies by 25 and multiplies by 50. How? So very clearly you have a problem. You have a problem which relates to every MLA, every MP, every political honcho. Their wealth. There is one organization called ADR who have been doing amazing work. Are you familiar with ADR?
No.
ADR? Okay, I think their Association of Democratic something, ADR. ADR. Okay. They are Delhi based. The name of one of the, I forget his name, but anyway, those guys, all they have been doing in the last 10-15 years or so, they take the declaration that each and every MLA, MP, corporator, etc. makes of his assets at the beginning of this election, and then next election, and then next election, and they just declare and they analyze it. They say, okay, Congress party has these many MPs going into the election. They had these many MPs whose net worth was over 10 crores. Going into 2024 elections, that number has increased by multiplied by 3. They had these many MPs whose net worth was 50 crores. That number has multiplied by 5. What's going on? You will ask. And same thing, they are not partisan. कांग्रेस का देखेंगे, बीजेपी का देखेंगे, हर एक का देखेंगे, शिवसेना का देखेंगे, they'll see everybody. So ADR has been doing very good work, but Janta is not interested. Janta is not interested in that. You have an election bond scam. I'm damned if somebody will look at ADR's work. It's there. It is sitting in open air. What's anybody looking at it? I mean, what's anybody doing about it? Nothing. So your entire political class is corrupt. the conclusion that you draw, if you take a look at ADR's work, the entire political class is corrupt. Now it's only a question of who is more corrupt and who is less corrupt, who is ethically corrupt and who is unethically corrupt. जिसने कौन करप्शन में ऑनेस्टी कर रहा है और कौन करप्शन में डिसऑनेस्टी कर रहा है, यानी ब्राइब लेके भी काम नहीं करता है. You know, these are the kind of questions we are faced with. But as a class, entire political class is corrupt. How are they? How does anybody's net worth increase like that here? Well, it's happening. It's a fact.
Yeah, you're right. You asked a very important question: why people are not interested in this? So, uh, so the thing is, the politicians are corrupt. I understand. Even majority of my family members, my relatives are hardcore, BJP supporters. And even when when Congress was in power on small scam, they would talk about it. They would say Congress is corrupt and this and that. But now when the
Right.
electoral bond scam happened, they're dead silent.
Silence.
It's almost like yeah, when I say something like Indian politicians are corrupt, people will clap their hands for me. But when I say Indians are corrupt, when I say Indians are so pathetic, because if you look at the roots, the
I
reason why
agree.
we have such pathetic politicians is because the people are
I agree.
pathetic.
अपनी ethics खराब है, अपने नस्ल में खोट है. और of course, it is not
Hmm.
only Indians. You can, people will say, nah, but Americans भी तो corrupt हैं. ठीक है, let's leave that aside for the moment. Coming to Indians, I totally agree with you. अपने खून में खराबी है. There is something going wrong within us and we must introspect. In fact, this is one of the things I say. Societies ke managing committees, our cooperative societies, there I think you don't have societies, right? You got associations or something like that in Delhi.
No,
So you also have
in,
cooperative societies.
no, I'm
Or
actually in Bangalore. So I live in an
you're in Bangalore.
independent house in my parents' house.
Independent housing, so
So
no cooperative society, no association, no nothing.
So right now I'm in my hometown, Bangalore. So here we have an independent house. There's no society or anything like that. In Bangalore, I
Okay.
live. I rent places, so I'm not even familiar with
Okay.
society and all that, because tenants, they don't have much. We don't have much say, anyways.
Tenants don't have, they don't throw roots, which is
Yeah.
very good. So if you're a owner of a house, of a flat in a building, and
Mm.
unless it is a service apartment sort of an arrangement, there is usually a democratic system of governing and collecting funds and using the money for paying the watchman and maintenance of the building and so on, replacement of lifts and all that. So that is the cooperative housing society. And there are elections held every 5 years. And you have these guys who become office bearers, chairman, secretary, treasurer. It has very little discretionary power. These guys have very little. I mean, you can't start feeling important about that. You can't develop an ego by saying, I am chairman of so and so cooperative society or I am secretary of. But they do. They develop such an ego. They think they're the king of the cooperative society. We have to remind them, boss, सुन, तेरी मर्जी है इसलिए तू ऐसे नहीं कर सकता है. It's not your right to do whatever the fuck you want.
Mm.
You have to, you are there for a very limited purpose. You are administering the building. Do that. Don't try to rule over us. Say they get these crazy ego trips. One guy got elected about 10 years ago when I moved in. The guy wanted to plaster his philosophical thoughts all over the building. Boards लगा दिए उसने अपने philosophical thoughts के. अरे भाई, where did you get the authority to put boards of your philosophical thoughts, how you have to stay in the family and stuff like that, all over the society premises? Why? Who gave you that right? Correct, he did it unilaterally, and everybody else keeping quiet. I'm like, yeah, what is all this? What is all this tamasha? You okay? How about me? I like scantily clad film actresses, and if I become chairman, suppose I can put up scantily clad film actresses all over the place. He likes philosophy. I like scantily clad film actresses. Chal, chal, karte. Does every chairman get to do this? Whatever he wants. And his thought, I may not even agree with his thought. Why are you doing all this nonsense? You are there to kill. But so it is the power gives you this sense of I am not accountable to anybody. I can do anything I want. Nobody will hold me to question. And if you ask that guy, it becomes gali galoch very quickly. Once I tried questioning him in the lift from fourth floor. By the time we reached the ground floor, the guy was mouthing mother sister ki gali. Like, boss, hardly took you 4 floors. You can't have a civil conversation or what? It was not at me, but it was a display of anger and rage and indignation. It was not at me, like you are in mother sister, wo nahi. But it was, who the fuck do they think they are? What? You are the chairman of the society. I'm asking you a simple question. Answer me in a simple way. It doesn't, your ego doesn't have to come in. Who the fuck do they think they are? Who the fuck do they think I am? Who you are? You are a chairman, man. That's all you are. It's not a bigger thing. It's just an ordinary thing. Now, this is the phenomenon everywhere. Because I see so many cooperative societies. I've attended meetings on behalf of people. I've addressed meetings. Ego everywhere. Everywhere they are ego driven.
I want to ask you a slightly different philosophical question. So, based on all this, the
Yeah.
political scene is corrupt. There is so much income inequality in society. Even society chairmen are so ego driven. To buy a house is so hard.
Everybody,
Even
not just chairman, everybody in the
yeah.
managing committee meeting or in the annual general meeting,
Hmm.
the meeting is ego driven. The
Hmm.
meetings themselves are ego driven.
Hmm.
There is so much arbitrariness, there's so little reason.
Hmm.
In our communications, there's so much arbitrariness, so little reason, so little reasoning, that I'm forced to say that, listen, as a body polity, there is something we don't know about working together. We are very bad at working together and communicating. There are some lessons we haven't learned in life, and we need to learn those lessons before. Then we can hold each other accountable. Then we can be accountable and transparent to others. Basics. Otherwise, in the um, expression, this in the uske aad mein expression, right?
Uski
By
aad
the way,
mein.
you're a Hindi guy,
No,
or you speak decent
I
Hindi?
mean, I'm more of a Kannada guy. My Hindi is not that great.
Okay.
मुझे हिंदी आता है
So,
लेकिन ऐसे मुहावरे yeah.
muhavre wise, aada is a adda, if you say in Kannada. ಏನಾದ್ರೂ
Okay.
ಅಡ್ಡ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಸೈಡ್
Okay.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಇಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ.
Okay.
Like
ಹಾಗೆ
if I
okay.
put a garbage bin over here,
Hmm.
then behind the garbage bin I can put another thing, and if you argue about it, I'll say first remove that garbage bin, then I'll remove that other thing.
Hmm.
So इसके आड़ में कुछ और हो जाता है.
Hmm.
If you have an obstruction in the road, I can set up a hawker stall.
Hmm.
I am a hawker stall, so somebody else will set up his hawker stall, and he will say Krish is there with his hawker stall, so I am also here. So एक दूसरे के आड़ में वो काम करते हैं. So in the same way, if you don't have good communication and accountability and transparency and all these things built into the system, एक चीज के आड़ में दूसरा चीज हो जाता है, दूसरे के आड़ में तीसरा हो जाता है, वो करप्शन करने के लिए किसी को मौका मिल जाता है.
Hmm. Okay.
That's how it works.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
was trying. So, I was just asking like a philosophical question because life is so hard in India. If you just accidentally touch another person's car, rather than asking a
Hmm.
civilized question like, "Hey, do you have insurance?" First thing, instinctively, we Indians start
Hmm.
giving mabe ki gali, and everything is ego-driven. Bureaucrats are just trying to suck our blood. and even LKG fees, UKG fees is in lakhs now. So this is demotivating a lot of young people to settle down in life. They don't want marriage anymore. They don't want to have children. Is this the right trend?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what exactly it is. You are quite right. I agree with you on this. In the sense, there is a social and economic environment which is such that it is preventing young people from settling down, throwing roots, committing. There's a lot of disenchantment. There's a lack of opportunity. Lack of opportunity is a major thing. Poor ethos is a major thing, like poor work ethos. So there is a whole environment thing here. I would not like to blame one or two or three parts of the environment. Like much as I would like to say Modi Sarkar is responsible for unemployment, I would like to say unemployment is a factor of many other things. It's not a factor. Unemployment is caused by many factors. Okay. Same way, the unwillingness to settle down, get married, have kids is also caused by many factors. There is this whole psyche which is out there, the whole environment. So, this environment we need to analyze what is it when you say the word environment, what all are you saying? You know, what all do we think about when we say environment? It's not, we are not talking about trees and birds and insects. We are talking about how we communicate. For example, each of us is, I believe, an entertainment junkie. We are entertainment junkies. Earlier, and this is going to make me sound very old fashioned, uncle who says, "Sare yaar, when I was a kid, it was like this, and now look at it, how horrible things are." So I'm going to sound a little like that uncle. See, earlier, once in a month, maybe if you are a good family, maybe 15 days even, once in 15 days, you all made a decision and you said, Chal, we'll go see a movie. And then you went out and invested 2 hours, 3 hours into watching a movie and then went out and had something at a restaurant and came home 5 hours later. You had all your entertainment concentrated in one place. Today, our scene is we are constantly scrolling on our mobile. We are getting entertainment from WhatsApp, we are getting it on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, basically. I can spend 3 hours on Twitter doing totally meaningless things. Retweet, like, comment. Retweet, like, comment. Basically the same thing. I can see this echo chamber thing. I do this stupidity. I spend 3 hours, retweet, comment, like. Boss, 3 hours on one trend called, I don't know, Modi go back or BJP Badmeja or some such hashtag. Like, how can I be doing this 3 hours? Where is my sense of time? Where is my sense of purpose? I could have made a video. Why am I doing this? But I'm helpless. I'm in the grip of something which is keeping me there. So I see people, they come to the gym, they look at their muscles. I'm like, boss, you want good muscles, right? Chal, work out. Instead, that guy is going to go and sit on one of the machines and he is scrolling or he is watching something on his mobile, IPL or one of these things or some football match. Why are you're in the gym? Why are you watching your mobile? You're a junkie. You see the junkie behavior everywhere all around us. We see people, they get 2 minutes, they're scrolling. So it's like a junkie looking for a fix. Now, We are communication junkies. We can't be off our WhatsApp. We are continuously on WhatsApp. You're engaged on, again, same thing. If you're in the gym, why are you leaving your phone switched on, man? Switch it off. 1 hour, what's going to happen? Someone's going to die and you're going to be missed. And what exactly is the problem? Switch it off here. For 1 hour, be absent in the world. People are not able to do that. I do it. I switch off for many hours a day. I switch off for large number. My out of 24 hours, I'm switched off for 18 hours. You know, off late or over the past 3-4 months. Yes, people get mad at me. Hey, Krish, what is this? Yeah, people get mad. Okay, get mad. But I want to be present only for some of the time. For the people I want to be present, I don't want to be at every random Tom, Dick, and Harry's call. That said, I do. So there is also a trap. I mean, I may escape one trap, which is my mobile, but this thing, because we are junkies. And I feel that being entertainment junkies is affecting our social behavior. Are you hearing me? Like,
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
okay, because suddenly it gave me a notification, kuch video nahi aa raha hai, something like that. Anyway, so being communication junkies is affecting our social behavior, is preventing people from doing their jobs, is preventing people from having focus on what they should be doing, is preventing them from having the inner conversations that they need to have, the inner dialogue or the inner conversations with themselves, with having genuine me time, you know, with having good social interactions, like everybody at a dinner table and everybody is in their own phone. Hey, if you are 4 people at a dinner table here, put away your damn phone. Yeah, give me 2 minutes, give me 2 minutes. For what? Somebody is dying or what? So, from family time, from me time, for time with kids. Father is out there in the park with kids. For heaven's sake, look at your kids growing up and enjoy that here and be with the kids. Father is sitting there scrolling, watching Instagram reels. Kids are playing. He is being absent minded. Why? So, it's a pervasive force in our life. It is only getting worse. Instagram reels and YouTube shorts is showing the fragmentation of our attention span. We are not able to. It's been years since I read a book. It's literally years since I read a book. You just talked about how people don't want to commit and all that.
Yes, yes.
I think it is coming from a variety of things. The economic environment is one thing. Okay, like it is not easy to set up a business for you guys. It is not easy. Employment is again a very confusing kind of thing. So there's a whole bunch of confusion coming out of various environmental factors, socio-economic, political, uh, environment factors, all of these. I won't oversimplify it, but I would just say that we need to, and I'm not even saying, oh, marry, have a job, it's the right thing to do. I'm not even saying that. Maybe not marrying or not having a job or whatever, maybe that is the right thing to do. I don't know. Or maybe having a job but staying single and having girlfriends is the right thing to do. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's the right thing to do in this particular day and age. Everyone doesn't have to marry and have kids.
Mm.
So yeah. So I think that's my feel of the situation.
Okay. So I have only like two questions. So I'll just ask these questions and I'll
Sure,
conclude the podcast. So
sure,
the
sure.
we had another conversation last time and you were talking about midlife crisis. So I just
Hmm.
want to understand, how does midlife crisis feel like?
Okay. I think what happens is you develop a sense of your own mortality. My youth has gone away or my youth is going away, sort of thing. Me, it hit me at 40. Okay, it hit me when I turned 40. Different people, I suppose it hits them different times. The feeling that you get is, what the hell am I doing in this? What the hell am I doing here? Like, I was married, had two kids. My kids, my daughter was maybe in the fourth, fifth standard or something. My son was small, but he was already maybe 3, 4, he's 5 years younger than her. The feeling you get is, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I here? Why am I in this lifetime? What am I getting out of all this? I'm doing all this, and your business may be going good, everything may be going good, but you get this sense of a very existential question. What am I doing here? Why am I in this? Why should I not upset this whole thing? So it makes you dangerous. It makes you an adolescent. Basically, it is like midlife crisis, I would say, is like adolescence hitting you once more when you are in your 40s, approx. It's like, what am I doing all this for? Nahi karna hai. I don't want to do it. So you turn into a rebel at 40. When your family is counting on you to just quietly do the work and put bread on the table, and you pick that time to be a rebel. Okay. It can be a very scary time for everybody, scary time for your family. You're also scared because of the consequences. It is easy to say, I'll rebel. But boss, you set up a whole life. You want to do what? Upset your life. What happens to you? What happens to your wife? What happens to your kids? What about your family? You are also scared. But at the same time, something within you is like, no, 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 wo sab theek hai. But I can't, this can't be happening. This can't be going on. It can't be going on like this. I won't let it go on like this. So then there are different people who play out different ways. There'll be people who will develop very sad tendencies, depressive tendencies, going into depression, or others like me who play out with the big show of temper, big flashy show of temper, discontentment, open discontentment. So it will manifest in different ways. Menopausal women or women who are they call it postpartum depression, which happens to women after pregnancy. I would say it is something similar to that. In postpartum depression can be very dangerous. Women in postpartum depression might kill the baby. If they are left alone with the baby, they'll drown the baby, or they'll hurt the baby. They'll try and kill it. It can be bad. So they just develop this disaffection towards everything. That's basically it. That's basically what I would say. But if you're lucky, it can liberate you. It can show you a higher reality, and I don't mean in a religious way. It can take you towards a higher manifestation of yourself, like what you are, what you can become, your potential can do that. So it can become your bridge to your higher self, but in the process, it's very rocky. It's a very rough road. That's what I experienced. I think I talked last time about my son and how he had cried, and I said I threw up my entire business. You remember that?
I don't think you spoke much about that. You spoke very
Okay.
briefly. So
No, okay. So it happened like this. The year is 2005 or 6 or so. No, 7, 2007. And I am a printer publisher juggling many journals. Okay, I got a whole load of journals going on, quarterly, one weekly, one which happens every 2 months, that way. A lot of trade journals, and I'm publishing. Okay. And so I'm always on phone with my clients. These are the days of the landline and fax. Okay. And work on computers, but fax. So I'm always on phone with my client, and they are like, Krish, when are you giving me the first proof of this? And I'm like, sir, it will be coming tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But I know it's not tomorrow or day after. I know it's probably next week. end of next week, like 10 days later. But I don't want to tell them the truth. So I was lying to a bunch of clients. Everybody was, in the publishing industry, we have a joke. Everything's wanted here yesterday. Everything's wanted yesterday. So, it was like everything is wanted yesterday. And I was lying, yeah, don't worry, it's on the way, it's going on. I was lying to everybody. On the other side, my son. And I was saying, yes, now, I'll do it now, I'll do it now. Yes, I'm doing it tomorrow, I'm doing it day after tomorrow, I'm doing it now, you'll get it by evening. This kind of thing. So I'm doing it now. So I'm saying now to my clients. And on the other hand, there was my son. He was maybe 4, something like that, small. And he comes to me and he wants to play with me, he wants to have lunch with me. Okay, we were buddies even back then, still are. So he wants to play with me, and I'm saying, not now, not now. He comes, we have a home office set up. He comes to me and, Papa, will you have lunch with me? Not now. So one time I got really frustrated. After maybe 2 or 3 times he asked me. So I shouted, not now. I shouted very loud. Office colleagues are there working. And this kid runs inside and then looks out of the curtain, points to me, and he's crying, tears coming down his face. And he's complaining to his mom. Papa, not now, Kevi Didu. Papa said not now. He's saying in bad Gujarati. Papa, not now, Kevi Didu. Not now, Kevi Didu. And he's crying. That incident really hurt me. Like it brought things to a head because I just sat there. When you shout, you get into a different zone. I'm just sitting there, angry, trying to compose myself, and I'm thinking, on one case, I've got all these bloody um, customers, clients. Some of them had been with me for 6 years, some of them with me for 12 years, old clients. Okay. And I'm lying to all of them and I'm saying, yes, sir, now, I'll do this now, I'll do that now, I'll do it. And here's my kid, and he's growing up, and I'm saying, not now, not now, not now, not now. I'm not giving him any time. And he's growing, and he's growing fast, and he'll grow. And then he will not want my company. What am I doing? So it was a moment of introspection right there as I'm cooling down. I'm saying not now to my clients. And then, do I like my client's job? It's a meaningless work. It's meaningless. The work I was doing was paying me, but it was meaningless. Like, I'll print 3,000 journals. I pay attention to details. Who is reading it? Who is cracking open any of those 3,000 journals and reading them? 3,000 copies. Maybe 3 guys are reading them. That also, how much are they reading? They're reading one photo caption and saying, why isn't my photo here? Why am I on the left and why am I not on the right? That is the level of their engagement with what I'm doing. And I'm pouring heart and soul into it and I'm getting money, getting paid lakhs of rupees. But what am I doing? It's meaningless. It's raddi. It's waste paper. I'm generating waste paper. So I had a very low self-esteem in terms of that. I could get praised and people would praise me and say, hey, Krish, you're doing a wonderful job. Yes. I was like, fuck you, man. I don't like it. And we would go for award ceremonies where they would call me up on stage and give me a bouquet and, and souvenir. And we want to recognize Krishnaraj for, doing so much for us and blah, blah, blah. And all. On the way home, my wife says, we are driving home and my wife is saying, I felt very proud when you went up there on stage and you looked very debonair. And I was like, yeah, I felt like a prostitute. I'm a randi, a prostitute. They're just appreciating. They're appreciating, Krish, you give wonderful blowjobs. That's what they're doing. So my self-esteem is not getting better. They can appreciate me, but my self-esteem is not at all, getting boosted. On the contrary, I'm hating myself because the way I was seeing it, there was a kind of a wake-up call going on. This was a thought that I had talked with my dad around that time again. I said, Dad, I am true to your legacy. I became a journalist. I'm connected in all these high places, in all these chambers of commerce and consulates and blah, blah, blah. I'm earning money being a journalist. But what am I doing for society? I'm not doing anything. My mother's legacy, my mother, the social, what she called herself the voluntary social worker. Now both of them were alive. I'm like, I'm keeping your legacy alive, Dad. I'm being a journalist, but you know what? My mother's legacy doesn't count for anything at all. I'm not doing anything socially meaningful. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? So I had that thought, it was beginning to gnaw at me. And on that day, it finally clapped together. It was like, no, it didn't come together as I'm going to do something for society. That's not how it came. It came like, no, 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 I'm going to spend time with my son. I'm spending time with my kids. And fuck the clients. I'm going to say not now to the client. I'm saying now to the clients, and it's a lie. I'm saying not now to my son. Now I'm going to say now to my son, and I'm going to tell the clients the truth. Not now. When is it coming? Not this week. Arey, you said tomorrow. Yes, I know I said tomorrow. Not even this week, sir. Next week, maybe. If I have managed to find the time. Maybe. So if you do this with clients, obviously you're going to lose your clients very quickly. You lose your clients very quickly because they get the sense that you don't respect them. Quite right. You're not afraid of them in any case. They get that. They'll get it immediately. I'm like, yeah, so what? So I lost clients. I mean, this was one reason. There were multiple reasons. One of them was economic competition also. There was very fierce cutthroat competition, cost competition. I was the beneficiary of an economic environment which was changing very rapidly, and the benefits stopped coming. You know, so from the 90s till 2004, 2005, 2006, I would say the clock had sort of begun to, or the wind direction had changed, and competition was also very fierce. Corporates were outcompeting us, individual publishers like me. So I couldn't hold on any longer. That was also part of it. There are many parts to this whole thing. But one way or another, I went out of business. By 2012, I was finally completely out of business. By 2007, I started the downward trend. And yeah, it was partly or largely due to the midlife crisis and how I handled it. And I phased into activism. So I didn't go into activism saying मैं दुनिया का भला करूंगा. That's not how I went into it. The way I went into it was I want to express what is meaningful within myself. I don't want to do meaningless work. I want to do meaningful work. Okay. So if I'm publishing something which nobody is reading, that's meaningless work. And it's turning into Raddi. And I don't want it either. I mean, I'm publishing something for others, what other people are saying. It's not even what my heart is saying. So then I started writing blogs. I started writing poetry. I started writing philosophy, which made sense to me at the time. Now, I mean, when I look back at it, I say, okay. But back then I wrote a lot of poetry, blogging, बहुत किया, blog posts बहुत लिखे, wrote and communicated and corresponded with a lot of people and exchange of ideas, which I wasn't doing at all. Exchange of ideas. I did a lot of my growing up after I was 40. It was like I had sort of reached the age of 40 without growing up as an individual. You know, I didn't know how people really thought. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't have enough self-confidence. I was a good writer, but I didn't have confidence for talking at all. I couldn't put forward my own views. I didn't know what views I had. At 40, I had views, but I didn't know what they were. You know? So I had to kind of hear myself to get my own views and get other people's views. All that happened after 40. So I reached a phase of high growth, high personal growth between 2007 to 2010, 11, 12 at the very least. Blogging, writing, intensive. And somewhere along the way, I moved into activism. I didn't set out to be an activist in that way. I set out to express myself.
So,
Yes, sir.
so I have one last question. Finally, so you had such a vast career. You had many ups and downs, like you said. You had midlife crisis. Uh, so briefly, based on your vast experience, what do you think is the purpose of life?
Purpose of life. Purpose of life. Okay, first of all, your purpose is whatever you want it to be. But the closest I would go to, it would be arrogant to say there is a purpose of life other than what you want it to be. So, for example, suppose you are in love with music, and by in love with music, I mean you feel you have something to contribute to the world of music, make music. I would say the purpose of your life would be to make the best music you can. You know, if you're an instrumentalist, then play the instrument in the best possible way that you can. If you're an athlete, then pursue athletics. Now, whether you get medals or not, that's irrelevant. Forget about the medals. Just pursue athletics. So, broadly speaking, what I would say is, this thing called Maslow's hierarchy of,
Yeah,
I think it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
yeah. I'm familiar with.
You know, So in Maslow's hierarchy, the lowest one is food and so on, and then you get security, and at the top you get to self-actualization. So I would say purpose of life, the closest I can get to is self-actualization. If all those other needs have been met, you found security, you found physical security, you found emotional security, and so on, then you get to self-actualization. So purpose of life would be self-actualization in whatever way you see it. So if your self actualization is to do crazy stunts, drive motorcycles off cliffs, well, that's your thing. Or to travel all over India on a bike. Yeah, sure, why not? Or to run at the farthest you can. Yeah, sure. Or climb cliffs that nobody else climbs. Sure, that's your purpose of life. That's how I see it. And when you look back, if there is a yardstick, the only yardstick I would say is when you die, or when you are at the end of your whole thing, when you're too old to do anything with life. I think I read a beautiful quote the other day. Hell is a place where the person you are meets the person you could have been.
Mm, okay.
Okay. So if the gap is large, if the gap is vast between the person you are versus the person you could have been, and you come face to face with yourself in the mirror and like, oh shit, yeah, I could have been like this, then there is a room for regret before you die. You will die. Eventually, the regret will also end, and there is nothing left. Die. Finished. So, but I would rather not have that regret. I would rather want to be at the point where I say, I did pretty much what I could. The gap between what I could have been and what I am is not a large gap, if at all a gap. Heaven will be the place, contrarily, where the person you are is the person you could have been. You say, yeah, cool, that was life, nice. No regrets. No regrets. Now I can pass. No issues. You know. So that's basically what I would say.
Yeah.
Try not to go to hell.
I'll try my best. Thank you so much, Mr. Krishnaraj Rao, for coming here, for
Okay.
giving us your wisdom. This was a very
Right, yeah.
meaningful conversation.
Thank you so much, Pratham. Look forward to seeing this on air.